How about that title screen? Welcome back to Classic Game Room. Pac-Man Month continues with the Intellivision version of Pac-Man, which is a fascinating version of one of my favorite games because just look at it, it's different than the arcade game. Vastly different in many ways, like I've said in many of these other Pac-Man reviews. The beauty of the old school Pac-Man home console and computer releases is that they were all different. They all had their own thing, their own style, their own speed, their own graphics and sound and gameplay. The Intellivision release is one of the most unique, almost as unique as the Atari 2600 release of Pac-Man, which was terrible. And it's hard to say that this one is good, but it's one of the oldest ones that I have, and would have been released around the same time as the Atari 2600 version. This is 1,000 times better than that one. So, just imagine, take yourself back to 1982, 1983. You've got the Atari 2600 Pac-Man, which is terrible, and your friend has this one. This is the one you want. The Intellivision release is much better than the Atari 2600 Pac-Man. I was going to say watching episode 1 is better than the Atari 2600 Pac-Man, but that's actually not true. Pac-Man is very Lando compared to Jar Jar. Even a bad version of Pac-Man. He's the administrator of this maze. On the Intellivision, which I think is actually quite fun because it's so much smaller than any of the other Pac-Mans that I can think of, which changes the gameplay dramatically. So this is super fun. The Intellivision version is great as far as I'm concerned. Like, it's not a good version of Pac-Man, but it's an interesting version of Pac-Man, which kind of makes it a good version of Pac-Man. The sound effects are actually really good. The Intellivision was and is a very capable game system. Its weak point, like the Atari 5200, is the controller. The Intellivision controller is horrific. What with its pain disc and agony buttons. Now, thankfully, you don't have to use the agony buttons when playing Pac-Man, just the pain disc, which isn't as painful when you're not trying to use the agony buttons at the same time. Pac-Man actually plays better than I expected on the Intellivision. So to its credit, it's not that bad. Now, it's not good. It's not like it's the Dreamcast or anything, but it does have a fancy pink box like they're trying to trick people into thinking it's Ms. Pac-Man. Look at the back here. Hungry Pac-Man versus the Gobbling Goblins. I don't think I've ever seen the ghosts referred to as goblins before. That's kind of fascinating. Otherwise, it looks like Intellivision or the Intellivision makers here spared all expenses when releasing this Pac-Man. The cartridge and the manual are super cheap, but the game is fun. Like, they weren't expecting to sell any of these or something. It's actually kind of neat. I like this because it's different. It's not the Atari 2600 version, and also it doesn't cost very much if you're looking to collect this for your Intellivision. It's not one of the cheapest Intellivision games, but on the whole, still not that expensive. So, Pac-Man Month continues in celebration of my Pac-Man Collector's Guide on Amazon, where I had fun photographing this one. Not nearly as nice looking as the Famicom or the MSX release, but those don't refer to the ghosts as goblins. So, there's that. Have fun gobbling goblins, which are ghosts. Maybe that's what the ghosts are ghosts of, is goblins. Oh my gosh. Did you just pick up on that too? It's the prequel to Ghosts and Goblins right here on Pac-Man. Classic Game Room has been brought to you by the ultra-massive Video Game Console Guide, 230 pages of video games on Amazon.com, Retro Megatrex, and how to make a video game review show that doesn't suck. And Jesus number 2. Welcome to the Patreon Lord Carnage Club being shouted from a turbo volcano. Michael and Ariana Nelson, Ian Shore, Stephen Chucknick, Al Stever, Rick DeBarros, Jason Goy, Andy Schleiss, Sergio Matthias Hergert, Philip Strabenmuller, Jack Stavris, Ohad Kane, Simon Allen, and Sean Zoltek.